Hi, welcome. Angelique here. I am talking today about the placement Sun in Pisces. So, we're using astrology to understand this sign. And if it's your first time here listening to me speak, I have been doing astrology for almost my whole life since I was a kid. And it's through bringing in mythology, symbolism, the elements, the four elements, is when I really started to understand astrology. And I have a psychology background, counseling background. So I really like the astro psychology point of view, which talks about how we can understand our personality, our unconscious patterns, our behaviors, how we can grow and understand ourselves and other people better through astrology. And that's my spiel. So I will get into it. And as I said before, I like to start with the mythology, breaking down the symbolism, where this sign came from, why we will say the things we say about certain signs, and then connect it to the here and now, the practicality, really ground it in this earth realm. Like, what does having this placement, Sun in Pisces, mean in on the earthly plane, how it applies to you, so on and so forth. So, Sun in Pisces. This placement, I love to talk about it because it has such a dreaminess to it, and it's a very interesting sign to break down. So we're going to start with Pisces, and then we'll bring in the Sun a little bit. But Pisces is interesting because it has a traditional ruler, which was Jupiter. But that was formed before the discovering of the planet Neptune, which is now the modern day ruler for Pisces. So I like to bring in both because I feel like this is what historically is based on Pisces, and it has kind of a new twist with Neptune, but I think they're both important in really understanding the sign because I have found more of a rich tapestry of information for myself, for my Pisces placements, and for other people I know. So let's start with the traditional ruler, which is Jupiter. Now, I just did a podcast episode on Sagittarius, which talks about Jupiter. And so if you'd like to listen to that, you can to kind of get more of an understanding on Jupiter. But in terms of Pisces, we're really looking at the expansive quality. So the god Jupiter was known for expanding, especially across borders, was a military leader, but also just was in charge of armies going back and forth, and really this expansive world view, and not just being in part of one town, one government. The the god of Jupiter was really about expansion. And so when we connect it with Pisces, we have an expansive quality that I think sometimes gets lost. We attribute typically Sagittarius to wanting to expand and wanting freedom and not to be tied down. But Pisces is like that too, especially when you bring in the traditional ruler. Even if you don't ascribe Jupiter to Pisces in your astrology practice, say if you're a Western or more modern astrologer or student, Jupiter is still there because of that expansive freedom that Pisces loves. If you ever meet someone that has Pisces placements, they are going to be someone who likes more freedom and not wanting to be as grounded, which can look like not having a lot of earthly attachments, especially to people or one word worldview, because Jupiter likes to expand. So if you are only doing one job or having one routine, or you only have one way to do something, Pisces as a sign is not really going to like that unless it's something that is maybe expansive to their mind, to humanity. Maybe it's going to really push boundaries. That's where Pisces can really commit to something. So it has that expansive quality, like the god of Jupiter, where wants to go far and wide and connect with people, especially people of different backgrounds. Jupiter is also a teacher in the Greek mythology. So when we have Pisces, traditionally, and I would even say still, a lot of people who have Pisces placements are really good at teaching, but teaching in a way that is maybe more creative or expansive or mystical. So maybe not as much grounded in teaching something like geology, but teaching like astrophysics, teaching astrology. I have Jupiter in Pisces. That's right at home for being a teacher of these more spiritual concepts or anything that is maybe not as tied to the earthly ground. And then you have the now modern ruler of Pisces, which is Neptune. And Neptune really is this kind of dreamy, ethereal planet. It's all blue, named after the god Neptune, which is the god of the sea, of ocean. So you get even more of this dreaminess, everything associated with the water, but especially of the sea, which is dark and mysterious. We don't know a lot about the oceans and the sea at that depth. So there's a lot of mystery that comes with the sign of Pisces because of this. But also, anything that has to do that we ascribe to water, which is emotion, intuition, art, anything that's dreamy, like a lot of film and photography, is ascribed to the sign of Pisces because that Neptunian sea like, ocean like energy is at a distance. Photography and film specifically are art, but they're art that there's a separation between who's ever watching it and who's ever made it. It's not going to be right front and center like seeing a play at a theater where you can see the makeup, you can see everybody. So, in a nutshell, Pisces, when we combine the energy and the mythology from Neptune and Jupiter, is really a sign that's about leadership in mystical teachings, in ethereal or creative, intuitive endeavors. And also, Pisces, I forgot to mention, Neptune being the god of the sea, we have the symbolism of a fish. So Pisces is known as the fishes because they're able to go with the flow, navigate things with ease, be undetected. So we have that mysterious quality too that comes with Pisces. Now for the element part. Pisces, when we talk about the four elements, Pisces is a water sign. So you're going to have this very dreamy, creative, intuitive, but also an energy that wants to go with the flow. Pisces is considered a higher octave for a water sign. And because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac, we have that symbolism of experiencing life before a big transition. So near death or before a rebirth, we can say Pisces is congruent with that. So when we have water energy and we're thinking of rebirth, transition, endings, this is where we get a lot of energy for Pisces that are about things that are later in life or near death or near rebirth or just in between two worlds. So between the living world and the supernatural world. So we get a lot of people who have Pisces placements that are either really connected to later adulthood or they connect with the elderly, senior citizens, but also just in between these two worlds. So this energy is not fully grounded in the tangible earthly plane, but it's not fully in the heavens, in the outer realms or different dimensions, but it's kind of in between both. So we have a very interesting here. So that's why Pisces can be very spiritual. A lot of people who have these placements can be very intensely spiritual because they are essentially living in between two worlds. They are people that are either of the sea or of the other realms and kind of being forced to participate in this human experience, this earthly plane. So it makes it even more interesting when we put Pisces with the sun. The sun is a very opposite energy to this because the sun is fiery, it's bold, it's passionate, it's intense, and it wants things to grow. It wants to be seen. It wants to just take up as much space as possible. But it's very direct. It's a very direct energy. And with Pisces, you have that indirect quality with the Neptune and being in the sea, but also a water sign doesn't like to be very direct. So it's going to make for a person or a place in a chart that's going to be more dreamlike or just very not direct, not aggressive. It's going to be more of a gentle, passive, yin, slower type of energy. And that can be at odds with a lot of things we need in society, especially in the if you're in more of a Western world or a country that really values doing things, completing things, committing to things. It's going to make it harder and it's going to make it more difficult to feel like you belong when you have the sun in Pisces, because the Pisces being the last sign really feels more comfortable in things that are not super earthly or grounded or present. So people who have sun in Pisces, we see a lot of artists that have sun in Pisces, a lot of healers, a lot of anybody that really is doing anything that's maybe ethereal or mystical. um, a lot of intuitive people have sun in Pisces, or just they're creators in some way, something that um, really can help humanity, but in this space where they don't have to be very direct. So even if someone works at a business when they have sun in Pisces, they might get the most recognition when they're doing the administrative work or being an accountant, or they work in a lab. They're working behind the scenes if science is the thing. So it doesn't have to be mystical, ethereal, creative energy. It can just be behind the scenes work too. Working from home, very popular with people who have Sun in Pisces, or they do a job that is making other people look good and you're not seeing their work. There's an indirectness. So a lot of costume designers, makeup artists, cosmetology, stylist, things like that, where they are behind the scenes. Composers, a lot of well known music composers, directors, these are people who are, we know their work more than who they are a lot of times. So that's Sun in Pisces. So that makes it difficult. What you are passionate about when you have this in when you have Sun in Pisces, what you are most passionate about might be things that are not seen or not visible to the human eye, or they might be something that maybe we don't know a lot about yet. Like I said, interdimensional, a lot of uh, astral traveling and new concepts that we're coming up with. The Pisces energy loves that because it shines in the unseen. All right. So that's what I have today, Sun in Pisces. If you have this placement and you like to share, I'd love to hear your thoughts. So you can leave a comment. I'm also fielding questions. I would like to do a mailbag episode where I answer questions about astrology that someone has or their chart. So you can find that information below if you'd like to email your question. Otherwise, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.